One of my favorite, most highly respected political consultants, Rachel Bitecofer, has a new book out. Hit 'em where it hurts: How to Save Democracy by Beating Republicans at Their Own Game. Tough love for Democrats. And she's on the line with us right now. Rachel, welcome back to the program. It's been a while since we talked. I want to get your opinions more frequently here as we head into this election season. First of all, a brilliant book. Thank you so much for writing it. Give us a quick summary of the premise of your book.
I sure will, and I'm so glad you're asking for the big far out picture, 30,000 feet view. What this book is designed to do is twofold. Number one, bring the reader into my brain as a trained political scientist who studies political behavior. Because a lot of things that political science has known about mass voter behavior haven't been translated into how we campaign, electioneer, or even how we talk about elections in the media. So the first half is about getting us, especially people like us, people who listen to the Thom Hartmann show, to understand that we're actually in the 1%, okay? Not the money 1%. No. The intellectual 1% when it comes to our interest in politics, government, news, current events. It's an interest-driven phenomenon like everything else. So if you think about, people on the show, maybe they don't watch any NASCAR. They can't name any NASCAR drivers. They have only the broadest impressions of what happens in NASCAR. You drive a car around a circle for a while. That's unfortunately, folks, that's a lot of how Americans view politics. They aren't reading news. They aren't digesting the stuff that we're digesting. So when we look at public opinion and why it's non-reactive to developments, especially these criminal indictments with Trump, you have to understand people aren't reacting because they don't see the information. And given that, we have an election system that is designed to serve an electorate that only exists in our own minds. It's an electorate that doesn't know the key players in politics. It doesn't know any of the top level stuff. It may not even really be able to articulate why abortion's illegal now, who did it, how it happened. And so frankly, in some data, we see them blaming Biden for that, right? So I offer a pretty hard prescription for liberals because it's about stopping being dedicated to substance in our comms and to start engaging in strategic communication tools that allow us to win the narrative debate. The narrative debate, of course, is what kills us in these elections. So that's a kind of the overview. The book goes on to teach people how to do it. So the back half, chapter 3 or section 3, is called The Art of Electoral War. And it's teaching nice Democrats, designing comms for nice Democrats, how to go do battle up and against the sound wall that is the GOP propaganda system.
How to whack them upside the head. It sounds like there's a tremendous opportunity here. If the vast majority of Americans have no friggin' clue what's going on politically, what the real story of Donald Trump is, what the real story of the accomplishments of Joe Biden are, for example, and that's just, in the presidential politics, then to the extent to which we can educate them, either through advertising and media, person to person, whatever, if you look at what Biden has accomplished and who Trump is, it seems like the opportunity is really huge.
Yeah, you're picking up on why that's the most important thing to take away, right? Because right now, our campaign system has a different strategic purpose. It's about winning on merits, on policy appeal, on candidate biography, and other things like that, because we don't assume we also have to tell the electorate the basic information that the Republican Party, this modern Republican Party, is a radical extremist movement hell-bent on taking away their own health, wealth, freedom, and security, okay? So, the strategic impetus, I guess you would say, it shifts immediately as soon as you accept what I have to tell you, what political science has to tell you about voters. The strategic objective then becomes, okay, so if they don't know, and that's why they're not freaking out, and that's why, you see the out of office kind of advantage Trump has, even though he's a known, he's still getting an advantage of being the not in office guy, then the strategic imperative shift completely. And it really becomes about making sure that when, especially the swing bucket goes in to the polling place, they understand what the threat is of voting for Republicans and not for Democrats.
So how do we do that best?
Yeah, I mean, the book goes through some so the nice thing is about this strategy now, and I've been pushing it for a few years, as you well know, since I left forecasting in the academic place to go do direct electioneering work with Democrats. And what we saw in 2022 was the story of two strategies. Okay, number one, people should understand I quit my old job that I loved and spent years preparing for because of this thing called the midterm effect, which I knew political science knows will run over the incumbent party in each midterm that a president faces. And I understood that it was going to take a strategy that ran directly at fundamentals that drive midterm effects for us to survive that map. And what we ended up seeing is some places embracing new strategies, some places not. And particularly in the book lays out Arizona and Michigan, which went all in on making sure voters heard about the threat that MAGA Republicans play. Arizona, where Adrian Fontes actually outperformed Mark Kelly in some precincts. And then, of course, the whole state of Michigan. We're up there, the three women, the three statewide, all the state legislative races, the Michigan Democratic Party pounded Republicans as extremists who were dangerous. They defined Tudor Dixon right out the gate as a person that was going to make abortion illegal. And she never had a chance. By September, she was DOA in terms of political viability to win. But yet, when we look at Ohio, North Carolina, Wisconsin, Florida, we ran the old strategy, which is appeal to one group of voters with bipartisanship and moderation and get things done and candidate biography. I drive a motorcycle and I used to be a cop. What? We love that stuff. And then kind of, whatever with the base, where Republicans ran J.D. Vance, who is an actual fascist. He is so extreme on women's rights and women's role in society. And the Ohio electorate, they never heard that because, folks, the J.D. Vance campaign isn't going to tell them. The media system isn't designed to tell them. We don't have a Fox News or an ecosystem that people, only consume. And so we have to tell them. If we aren't telling them your Republican choice is an extremist who's coming for your freedom, they are not going to know. And we can't expect them to respond to something they don't know about.
By we, do you mean the candidates, the political parties, or like people just every one of us talking to our friends and neighbors?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, I really urge people to read this book. This is a mission book. Mm-hmm. The team around this book, my co-writer, Aaron Murphy, all of the people involved in this work did it because we understood that if we don't fix and run perfect strategy across the swing map in 2024, that we're probably going to lose our democracy. The Biden team gets this. They're going to be pounding threat to democracy and making that very real and very concrete for people in their strategy. And now the goal is let's make sure the rest of the swing map follows suit. The book lays out how Republicans electioneer, how we electioneer, why their system is better. And one of the ways that it's most importantly better is the centralization of messaging. So they ran on CRT in Virginia in 2021. It's an issue nobody had ever heard of. They turned it into a household name and defined all of the races in that state around that topic. That's the kind of cacophony that we need to be doing. We want to make sure the House, the state legislative, the Senate, the governor races are also following the suite of the Biden team and making sure swing voters hear what a threat Republicans pose to them right now.
And what are the specific issues that kind of a strategy could be employed around? I'm assuming abortion is at the top of that list. Birth control.
It is. So the best way is so here's the thing I say in the book, look, we're pushing, I'm not alone in this, people are pushing reform, and we could have made all the changes that we made, but without the Dobbs repeal, it probably wouldn't have worked, okay? Mm-hmm. Because the midterm effect is that strong. So obviously that is the key issue. When we look at performance for Democrats after Dobbs, we see an 8-point performance advantage. It completely washed away the Republican Party's out party power in that midterm cycle. And so, and it's also a good way, to show people what does it mean to lose freedom, because that's very, in the clouds, right? You want to be specific and concrete. So it gave a tangible thing that, happened to disenfranchise and de-elevate legally half of the country's population. But it also also is great because Republicans swore they would never do it, right? So like now they're saying, oh, we're not going to do a national abortion ban. Believe us. And we're like, no, you said you weren't going to repeal Roe. And so they're not going to get any quarter this election from our very wonky Democratic campaigns that really like to focus on accuracy rather than effectiveness in political advertising, because it will not be a stretch to say that the Republican Party is plotting a national abortion ban. And if they get the chance to enact it, they certainly will. And that will leave women in states like our state, Oregon, our wonderful heart of Oregon, not safe. There will be nowhere to run under a national abortion ban. So there's not a woman living in this country right now today that isn't under imminent threat. And we're going to make darn sure that they know about it.
Yeah. Rachel, we just have about a minute and a half here before we hit a break I can't control. We're talking to Rachel Bitecofer. Hit 'em where it hurts is the title of her brand new book. How would you advise average people to talk to their friends who are, Trump followers? What should they say when the Trump followers say things like, "Oh, those Democrats, they want gay people to take over the schools and they want immigrants to take over America"?
Yeah, so that's another great part about the book. That Section 3 book, The Art of Electoral War, literally will teach everybody from candidates, the party leaders, the state parties. I'm training all 57 state party committees. There's territories too, folks. That's why if you're wondering, 57. I'm training them on how to do negative partisanship strategy with this book in April. And, I think that what we want to do is make sure that as many people as possible hear about the strategic needs and then start to implement them in their own life. So once you get the understanding of why, I walk you through the how, and it will teach you, like, okay, if Republicans make the mistake ever of mentioning public education, ever, right? Instead of describing and explaining with the facts, the realities of public education, the curriculum, or whatever might be taught there, instead of doing all of that, say, oh, you want to talk about kids in school? I am happy to talk about that. You right now are standing in the way of us being able to save our own children. We send them off to public school every day, and we have to worry that they're going to get shot in class. So if you want to talk about protecting children, I am happy to have that conversation.
There you go.
How many children are you willing to murder for your love of guns?
I get
and
it.
You see what I just did there?
We're out of time, Rachel, but that's brilliant. Rachel Bitecofer, check it out. The book is Hit 'em Where It Hurts.
Thom Hartmann Program.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for dropping by.